Good morning, friends. Today we are covering 5th May's current affairs. The first article is poor air quality, which is harming cities' children. There is in clean air there will be a very delicate balance or delicate mixture of nitrogen and oxygen, which are very essential for well-being of us. And there will be small amounts of other gases like argon, carbon dioxide, neon, helium, and other gases as well. Now, what we need to know here is the importance of this article is first is we need to know what are the hazards of air pollution. Air pollution can cause cellular damage, that is damage to the lungs. Lungs at the cellular level, and then there can be reduced lung functioning. It can also result in reduction of the size of lungs. There could be respiratory illnesses and as well as asthma. Because of air pollution, the higher rates of mortalities are there. Then if you are continuously exposed to air pollution for a long time, that has its own long-term effects. Also, nowadays there is increased risk of heart attack. Children are more susceptible in these things. This article is from Karnataka's Hindu edition, and it was given that 40% of the children in the city who are traveling in buses are severely affected at this point in time. There was another interesting article which was published a couple of days back. There was Bandh in the city, and it was mentioned that when there was Bandh, the pollution levels, or you have this particulate matter and various other pollutants which will be there in the air, the level of those pollutants in the air was below the dangerous levels, which means most of the pollution now when Bandh happened, all the vehicles were not allowed on the streets. So this means that more vehicles is the reason for pollution as of now, and if we cut down on the number of vehicles, pollution will automatically come down within cities. This is the first article. Second article is birds of different feathers flock at Ankasamudra tank. The place is not important here. What is important in this article is what this lake, the Ankasamudra tank, was a dry lake earlier, and it was encroached upon earlier. What the forest department did to prevent the encroachment, they started planting Acacia nilotica or curry jail trees. Over a period of time, this was about 20 years ago. Over a period of time, heavy rains and some government programs of filling this tank were taken place, and this became a place where this became a big tank where water started filling in. Now, once the water started filling in, a lot of shrubs and bushes started growing, and then eventually this became a place for some of the very rare birds like open-billed storks, painted storks, egrets, herons. All these started coming there, and they started roosting. Now, what does roosting mean? Roosting means resting or staying in a place for a while. Now, once they started roosting eventually what happened was they also started breeding in this place. This article is very important in terms of Maine's perspective. This is in terms of Maine's perspective very important, because when they ask us about, if they ask us about how we can restore the ecological balance, we can give this as an example. You remember this Ankasamudra tank, and this is in Karnataka. We can quote this as an example, and we can tell about what the changes that have been brought in the last 20 years. Next article is switch over to LED proves beneficial. This is in some city in Tamil Nadu. It is not important which city. What is important here is once they switched over from the regular halogen lights to LEDs, the number of complaints reduced drastically. What was more interesting is the power bills decreased. They were paying a high cost, and the power bills decreased. This is also a very important article in terms of writing about how to best utilize public funds. Now, the power bills of the state government or even the central government is utilized by taxpayers' money, and by shifting to more efficient ways, government can save money and the money can be better utilized, like better utilize the money. So it is important that government identify all the cost efficient ways and the better cost efficient and effective ways of implementing these lighting solutions for the public, and they can switch over to LED. So you further reading is you have to read importance of LED, like how LED saves the bill, why does it consume less power and gives better clarity, and those kind of things. The other very important articles what you need to read here. Next article is land acquisition and protests are delaying the border fencing. This article is important with respect to India Bangladesh border issue. Here, first thing is over 90% of the India-Bangladesh border is already fenced. However, still there is some part which is not being fenced. There are various reasons for it. One of them is delay in land acquisition. This is mostly in West Bengal. Then there are a couple of wildlife sanctuaries which come in between there, and there also the land has been not acquired. Also, the land is not acquired in the sense, like the National Board of Wildlife has to give clearance. For example, in Mizoram, there's a 60-kilometer stretch in the Dampa Tiger Reserve. This is another important thing here. You need to know where Dampa Tiger Reserve is. This could they could ask you a question on that. Now in Mizoram there is a Dampa Tiger Reserve, and about 60 kilometers of the stretch from the Dampa Tiger Reserve will go into this fencing project, and National Board of Wildlife has to give clearance for this, but they have demanded from the state about 1520 hectares of non-forested land as compensation. There is no agreement between the wildlife between Dampa Tiger Reserve and the state as of now yet, and hence this place is also not fenced. In Tripura there are public protests which are happening. That is also a reason they don't want to put up the that's the reason they haven't put up the fences yet. Now the next article is Pranab's visit to Moscow signals strategic autonomy. Normally when presidents go to a place, it is not political in nature. However, here it is very important for us to know these things. One is, why did he go there? He went there to attend the Victoria Parade Day. What is Victoria Parade Day? Every 9th of May, that is when the Second World War ended, and the dignitaries from all countries go there to commemorate the end of it. This is the 70th year of it. This is the 70th year of ending of World War. Technically it ended on May 9th, 1945. And now what is important here is you need to also know, so this could be somewhere related to mains, because we have a history or world history which is there. It could be important there. Now this particular meet this time was boycotted by a lot of Western countries. The reason for that is Ukraine issue is one of the main reasons, and most of the Western countries have strict financial sanctions on Russia as of now. India doesn't really care about that. India has gone ahead and they will be attending the function. This is significant because we are part of BRICS, and it is interesting to know that all the BRICS heads, that is Chinese President Xi Jinping, South African President Jacob Zuma, and Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff are coming there. So from this article, with respect to examination, we need to know about World War II, and then we need to know about BRICS. The composition of BRICS, what are the significant achievements that have happened. There can be a lot of preliminary as well as mains questions, and how it is strategically important for us, for India. And we need to also, we can also write, if they ask about BRICS, we can also write about how India, even though there is financial sanction from the Western countries on Russia, India went ahead and attempted the Victoria Day Parade. We can write about it. Now next article is states dragging their feet on food security law. You might be knowing that there is something called as National Food Security Act. If you do not have an idea, please look into the blog. There is an article on that. We have completely covered what is National Food Security Act, how was it important, what are the various provisions under it, and what are the limitations of it, and various stuff like that. Now the point here is this article talks about first thing we need to know is National Food Security Act. It says they're going to give discounted food grains to about 67% of the population. Now, though this has been about 2 to 3 years since the act has been come into place, the states are not quickly acting towards implementing this. Some of the states, like 25 states, say that they are unable to comply with the preconditions to improve the PDS. They do not have effective PDS system, so the states have to have an effective PDS system. Only 11 states have so far started operations, and even these 11 states, they do not have a effective way of distributing the food grains to everybody. There were some regulations which were made. Each state had to first make a list of beneficiaries, and then they had to computerize the PDS. After computerizing, so basically you select a list of people and then you computerize PDS. This computerization, what it does is it will make sure that you have computerization is important for accountability, basically, right? So when any amount of PDS is dispersed from your from the state, it can be accounted for when if the PDSs are computerized. After it is dispersed, you need a vigilance team or vigilance committee. These people will overlook if everything is being done correctly. And then apart from this one, once the vigilance committee is also satisfied that things are going fine, if there is anything wrong, they will raise a flag. If there is nothing wrong, they'll just keep watching. They're like the watchdogs. And then apart from that, the other important and logical thing is to build strategic storage facilities where food grains can be kept, stored, can be used to move them quickly, to distribute them. This is another thing. The issue for this mainly seems to be political. One is different states have different political parties, so not everybody is very active in implementing it. So political will has to be there to implement it. Other issue discussed in this article is we need to know about the Shanta Kumar committee recommendation. Shanta Kumar committee recommendation was set up by the BJP government after they came into power. They say that the 67% of the people who are supposed to get the subsidized or the discounted food grains, it's very high. It has to be 40%. So they have to revisit the national. The 67% was given by the UPA government. Now we have the NDA government. Now the NDA government and the Shanta Kumar committee was set up under NDA government, and he says we have to revisit the UPA government's National Food Security Act, and they accuse UPA government saying this was a populist scheme that was brought in just to get votes. They said they got more people under it. That's what they say. And then the other thing what they want to look into is they want to look at the minimum support price to the farmers, and they want to ensure that the farmers, who are the main backbone of growing all these agricultural products for us, are compensated properly and in the right way. This is about this article. So some of the important things what you need to know in this article are, you need to know what is National Food Security Act, then you need to know what are the issues around it, then the preliminary question could be Shanta Kumar committee issue, and while writing the mains answer you can add in these points. These are important for mains, how effectively the National Food Security Act has to be implemented. Like, these states have to lift beneficiaries, they have to computerize the targeted PDSs. There's a need for vigilance committee, and they also need to build modern storage facilities, which will be important for a quick movement of the food grains and saving of the food grains. The other important article today is about BNHS against use of wildlife for religious and cultural practices. The BNH stands for Bombay Natural History Society. Now recently there has been some changes that have been suggested to the draft wildlife policy. What do these changes bring in? They suggest that they allow for use of wild species for religious and cultural practices, and the wildlife policy says that there will be care taken. The new draft wildlife policy basically says that care will be taken that these wildlife species won't be harmed and they won't be hurt and all those things. Now, theoretically, this sounds fine, but then the actual problem is, in the name of controlled species being used for religious and cultural practices, there are chances that poaching will be carried. Black market for all these wildlife products will increase, and there's already a very strong black market for several threatened species. We have a lot of threatened species, and these threatened species, which are protected under Indian Wildlife Protection Act, will come under there will be a huge difficulty in protecting it because there will be a lot of loopholes. Now think about this, okay? So if somebody is caught, smuggling, or somebody is caught if somebody is caught stealing a threatened species and he gets caught, the person would always use this policy as a loophole and say he was he was trying to get hold of the threatened species only because of some religious or cultural practice. So this becomes a loophole for all the smugglers to the smugglers and the poachers to kill and smuggle and export threatened species or important species which are available. So BNH has along with other various NGOs have been urging the government to reject this suggestion. So important things from this article is, one is we need to know what are the various threatened species which are there in India. Second thing we need to know is Indian Wildlife Protection Act. These two things are important from this article. That's about it, I guess, for today. Thank you and have a great day.